Well, it's the first day of the third week. Snow hasn't changed much. We got some crunchy type snow up the high country here, and there's no snow down low. 16 degrees this morning. We picked up a track down off the road. Wasn't quite sure if it was even last night's, but followed it up in here. Came to some does, and we just happened to get here at the same time. A different buck was in here checking these does, and we just realized we spooked him. We got a running track going out of here. It's all loose. So the wind's puffing a little bit. Maybe we'll have a little better chance today than last week. So got a new hunter this week. Dan Canary from Vermont. He wants nothing but the biggest one in the woods. We'll try to do it. Look at this track over here. This is kind of the difference between the buck tracks running and the does. The buck seems to be squared off more, spaced out a little bit different, and the does seem to jump more in line with each other and stuff. And you can see the pretty good size where his hoof's cut through the crust there, so we saw it where it was walking. It's a pretty good track. It's probably not the biggest one in the woods, but we're gonna go after him and see if we can see what he looks like. Let's get going. Well, we've decided to have a sandwich here. We've been bumping that buck right along 2 or 3 times. We've caught up to where he run off, but he just hears us. It's so noisy. He hears us coming and just spooks off a little bit. He doesn't know what we are. So we're gonna go let him relax while we have a sandwich, and our only hope on a day like today is maybe he catches up with a doe and they're chasing around. We catch him doing something, because it's awful noisy. I think this buck here would be a pretty easy one to get with good quiet going. But we don't have it, so got to work with what we got.
Still early.
Still early. We ain't done yet. Maybe we'll show you some action. Well, we had a change of weather in the night. It forecast either some freezing rain or snow, but we come back up on the mountain here, and it ended up being warmer up high, so it looks like it dusted just a little snow to cover the other tracks, and it's warmed up, and it's melted the ice out of all the limbs. It's fairly quiet this morning, and so we headed up into where we've been finding all the buck tracks, and we've just ain't been up in here 5 minutes, and we've crossed 2 bucks, a smaller one and a pretty good one here. We're going to go on this one, and it looks like it could be a 200-pound buck. We're going to take it. If we find something bigger along the way, we'll change over if we want, but all that snap has gone out of it. We got a little wind. It's about the best day for tracking we've had. It is the best day all year, so I'm going to see if we can make a little hay today, huh, Dan?
Do our best.
Do our best. All right, check this track out. It's probably, you know, it's a 2.5 by 3 track, and good dew claws. Like I said, it's one of them ones that can go either way. Maybe it's 190, maybe it's 220. We don't know, but hopefully we'll find out. Let's get going. Colder now. Feels like it's getting cold, but the snow ain't melting that fast. I don't know what it did when you crossed that brook. It didn't know.
cutting, and I saw last year, I saw some guys, foresters, that were marking the wood. You'll see blue paint and stuff on the trees that they're gonna cut.
Well, here we are in a nice November snowstorm. We've been praying for snow for the last 3 weeks. We finally got some here. And we've been walking all day. It's 3 o'clock now. And we never cut a big buck track. We've seen a few does and a nice 4-pointer.
Yep.
And not the track we want. So that's what happens sometimes. It started snowing in the night, and it's pretty windy, and probably got, I don't know, 8 inches of snow now, and the deer just hunkered down, most of them, and haven't moved. So we put our time in anyways. Tomorrow's another day. Well, here we are again. We come down into a piece of woods to try to cut a track, you know, from just walking, and we did. We just cut one. There's a place here, there's a brook up ahead, and they bucks cross in one spot quite a lot, so I headed for this spot, and lo and behold, there's a track headed right down to that crossing on the brook. And the snow, we got about, I don't know, 8 inches of snow yesterday, and it's nice. We got nice wind today, spitting a little bit. Good chance to kill a buck, so we'll see what happens. We can't tell really the size. He looks like it's got a good stance on him and stuff, and we'll dust the track out a little bit to see, but I think it's a pretty good buck. Probably not the biggest one in the woods, but who knows? We may come on to something bigger or fresher along the way, but we're going to take this one and get started anyways. We'll dust. You got to get the side of the snow out so it don't fall in. There's a little bit of snow in there from the night. There's probably, between blowing out of the trees and stuff, almost an inch of snow in it. But it blew so hard in the night, we don't know. But there's the width of his print right there. You got to get right down to the bottom to, you can feel against where it's hard against the sides. And you know, that print's, you know, pretty near wide as an 06 track, so it's probably going to be a pretty good one. It's almost 12 inches wide in his stance, and can't tell about his stride yet. He seems to be just poking down through here, so here we go. Hey, we want to show you something here. We haven't been on very long, and this buck is fed here, and you don't get to see that often. You hear about it, but you can see where his beams, where he was feeding here, the tips of his beams in the snow, and some points. So we know he's got to have some pretty decent headgear out front of his nose a little bit, or something like that. So things are looking up all the time on that. Thanksgiving Day, and got some crap weather in the night. We've had some nice powdery snow, and then in the night it was freezing rain and sleet and
Just about everything.
rain, about everything we could have, and we've got probably an inch, almost an inch of sleet. And so we decided to go check, and it rained. It was later in the night, so hasn't been too many fresh tracks. We went in and checked the road, and quite a few old tracks, but nothing fresh. So we come back out, and just where we've just been, we come back out, and there's a nice buck track had come across since we've been in. So we've only been gone about an hour, so we got a pretty good chance here. You can see it's gonna be a pretty good, well, almost the width of the '06 there. So we've got to get on it, see if we can
Yeah, nice stride length there.
Yeah. You see how because of that crust on top, they pick their feet up more?
Yeah.
They don't drag their feet too much in that. All right. Well, we got fooled. We've been on one of those big does. Come down in here, and it was feeding the whole time. I was beginning to wonder if it might be a doe, because it didn't act like a buck. It was feeding, and it come through some old doe tracks and never smelt in them and never checked them out. And then it laid down and got back up and just started feeding again. And that's not typical of what a buck would do. If a buck had been running all night, he'd be laying down for quite a while. But it's got a huge track. It's a really big track on it. In the road it was a little deceiving. Where it stepped, back foot and the front foot widened it out. But this is the telltale thing. I've done it before. You get here and I'm going to show you what happens. The doe will squat to pee. And this is what you can see it plain as day in the snow. The two back feet are outside of the hole here. You can see the two back feet over here, and peed right in the hole, straight down the hole right there, and then kept going. A buck will put his back feet will be together, and he'll urinate on his hocks there, especially this time of year, right in the rut. So anyways, we found that out quick enough. We didn't go that far, so.
But those dew claws sure are deceiving.
Well, today we get some little bit of adverse conditions. It froze up in the night, and we've got a real bad crust. And up in the hardwood ridges yesterday, it was freezing rain, and there's like a 1/4 of an inch of ice, and the snow's deeper up there. The deer don't like that. Cuts their legs and stuff. So today we decided to try a spot. We tracked a buck through here, and there was a bunch of does beginning of the week. It's softwood, a lot of spruce and cedar and stuff, and down under here there's not as much snow. The crust is icy, so they may not mind moving around in it too much. But we've already found places 4 buck tracks coming across this ridge right out we're on here, all made in the last 2 nights. We're going to follow the freshest one. It's not last night's, it's the night before's, but it's going to take us to some does, and he could be hooked up with a doe somewhere, but beats the alternative of just crunching around looking. May take us to a fresher track, or it may freshen up, but we're going to just move slow on it and still hunt. Like I said, we're on a run with 4 buck tracks in it, and we may run head on into something too. It's going to be noisy going, so we got to just kind of walk like a deer today, crunch along and stop and listen and do stuff like that. But this is a good track here. We'll show you the track. Matter of fact, there's a fresh track coming in. I just noticed. We just got this buck track here is huge. It's we've got to pay attention to the conditions. Last night it froze up. This has got some sleet from the night before in it, and it was made when it was wet, so we can see it's kind of wet around the edge, but it's the whole width of the 06 track and longer. Good dew claws back here. We can see where he was dragging his feet, and this deer here just went. We just got to this, and I just noticed this. See, now the difference is here. It froze up in the night, and this crust is broken, and this is all loose in the bottom. I gotta look over my shoulder now. You might be pretty handy here, but this track here was just made. We should have been here half an hour ago. This buck probably come through here. So, gotta look a little better to see the size of that one, but I guess that's the one we'll take. Crunch along slow. That thing's just made. It isn't even set up in the bottom. I gotta go look then. Hold still, Woody. Hey, we've been just kind of still hunting down it's an old cart road through the woods here, and then we found a rub line right down it. We've been coming down it several hundred yards, and there was some old rubs. I'm finding some new rubs, and we come to this goodie right here. He's got some pretty good knurls there to screw this all up, but more importantly is when he's hitting this one, it's about 15 inches behind it. He's got this tree fur in here. It's all dug up by his tines and his ends of his beams there, so like to get an eye on this one.